Morning. Welcome to session 10 of chapter 1 of company law. Here we are going to discuss about the advantages of private company. Here there are two categories of companies, as all of us know: private company and public company. The main two categories. Apart from this, there are so many categories. And here, if you go for studying the benefits of private company, these points can be extracted. First one, easy formation. Here, the individuals who are interested to establish a company, incorporate a company, group together and form an incorporation is called a company. And the minimum number of members for a private company is 2, whereas for a public company is 7. With the minimum number of members, a private company can be easily formed, and the conditions and terms put for the establishment of a private company are also very liberal. So here, with fruitful conditions, easily a private company can be formed, and this helps in the smooth functioning of the company. So formation of a private company becomes easier. This is stated in section 3 of Companies Act of 2013. Second one, quorum for general meetings. Here, according to section 103 of Companies Act of 2013, quorum for general meetings rules are stipulated. Unless it is stated in the articles of association of the company about the higher number of members or quorum required for annual general body meeting of shareholders in case of private company is 2, and they must be personally present in the annual general body meeting. If it is stated particularly in the articles of association that more than 2 members are to be present physically in the annual general body meeting, they have to go ahead. Otherwise, it is stipulated to 2, and it is 5, 15 or 30 members to be personally present in the annual general body meeting out of the total members, and if the total number of members is 1000 to 5000 in case of public company. Moving on to the third point, exemption from the issue of prospectus. Here, a prospectus is to be issued by every company which wants to collect shares from general public. Prospectus is nothing but a document which explains about the company, who is who, and what are the layers in the management, and what management is consisting of, who are the directors, what is the working condition, and everything. Prospectus includes, and what is the what number of shares are issued, and how much it is priced, regarding the issue. Everything is stated in prospectus. So, a private company is prohibited from inviting offers from general public, means it cannot do IPO, initial public offerings, for the purchase of its shares or debentures. So, when it is not permitted to collect capital from general public, there is no question of issuing prospectus. A private company is therefore exempted from all the legal requirements relating to the preparation and issue of prospectus. It's also not required to file with the registrar of companies a statement in lieu of prospectus. And moving on to the next point, exemption from the requirement of minimum subscription. See here, If the total number of shares issued by a company is 1000 and people have applied collectively people have applied for 900 shares, this is the case of under subscription. And if 1000 is the total number of shares allotted and 1000 if the total subscription equaling 1000, it is minimum subscription. And if shares applied for by general public is more than 1000, it is over subscription. Here, unless the company gets minimum subscription for their shares, they are prohibited from issuing to general public. The minimum subscription is the amount which must have been collected by a company before the allotment of shares. It is also one of the process of issuing shares here. But a private company can proceed to allot shares without waiting for minimum subscription. Why? Because it is not permitted to offer shares to the public, and there is no question of minimum subscription at all for a private company. So it is stated in section 39. And the fifth point says that further issue of shares to outsiders. Here it is also called reissue of shares. If a company wants to collect capital from general public again out of the authorized capital, it goes for issuing shares again. So the question arises whether to offer the additional shares to the existing employees or to the outsiders, means to the general public. Here, a public company must offer the shares, reissue of equity shares to the existing employees. It is must for a public company. Whereas for a private company, it is not mandatory, and it is left to the discretion of a private company whether to take decision regarding whether to issue the reissued shares to the existing members or to the outsiders. So it is stated in section 62 of Companies Act of 2013. Next one, managerial remuneration. According to section 97, a private company is exempted from the provisions of section 197, that is about the fixation of minimum amount of subscription, minimum amount of remuneration to the managerial personnel in the company. And it prescribed a remuneration of 11% on net profit. Here, employees get salary, workers get wages, whereas people who are in the board, directors, get remuneration. So the amount they are getting, return they are getting for the work done for the company is called remuneration. And this remuneration is fixed by law. At its will and wish, it can't give the remuneration. It is 11% of net profits. Whereas for a private company, remuneration for managerial personnel may be of higher percentage of profit or in any other manner, and it is not deemed fit. It is not fixed. Next one, exemption from keeping index of members. Here, for a private company, maximum number of members allowed is 200, and if it complies with the procedure and maximum number of members if stipulated to 200, it need not maintain a list of members, means index of members. It need not maintain the record of members. Whereas, if the number of members crosses 200, it needs to maintain index of members. And next one is number of directors. For a private company, as per section 149 of Companies Act of 2013, A company is not required to have more than 2 directors. It need not maintain more than 2 directors. Whereas for a public company, it must have at least 3 directors. The minimum number of directors is 3. And rotational retirement of directors. In private companies, this system is not existed. The rotational retirement of directors. According to section 152 of Companies Act of 2013, all directors of a private company can be non-rotational directors. However, it does not mean that they cannot be removed throughout their life. They may be removed or the life of the company or before the expiry period for which they are appointed. Okay, whichever comes earlier, in their lifetime or in the lifetime of company or the period for which they are appointed, they may be rotationally get removed from the company. Next one, filling casual vacancies. The provisions relating to the manner of filling of casual vacancies among directors and the duration of the period of office of those so appointed do not apply to a private company. This is stated in section 161 of Companies Act of 2013. And for a public company, it is mandatorily followed by the company that filling the casual vacancies. Means who must fill the casual vacancies and who has to, the casual directors, their duties and what they are obliged to do and in what manner they have to perform their work and their discharging from the duties. Discharge from the duties. Everything is stipulated by law. Whereas for a private company, it can take any of the persons as director to fill the casual vacancy. And next one is audit committee. According to section 177 of Companies Act of 2013, a company need not constitute an audit committee of the board. It is compulsory for a public company, a government institute, to constitute a committee to perform internal audit. Okay, continuous audit must go on as supplementary to the main audit. Every year the accounts must be audited with the external auditor, whereas internal auditing activity must go on interval basis. Okay, so audit committee is to be constituted compulsorily, whereas for a private company it is not obliged to constitute an audit committee. And next one is issue of shares. Under section 43 of Companies Act of 2013, a private company may issue shares other than equity or preference shares if so provided in its memorandum or articles of association. If a private company, of course, private company is not barred from collecting capital from general public. In addition to equity and preference shares, by different means it can collect share capital from general public. So there is no stipulation by law that it must collect through equity and preference shares only. And next one is right issue. Under section 62 of Companies Act, in case of right issue, as against the minimum period of 15 days, private company may close its offer of right issue before that date. Here, a private company need not keep its right issue open for a minimum period of 15 days. Means for a government company has shares are offering to the existing shareholders is called a right issue, and this right issue period is stipulated is 15 days. So for right issue, the company has to keep right issue period, right issue slot open for a minimum period of 15 days, and this rule is not applicable for a private company. These are the advantages. In addition to this, I want to stipulate some more points as the advantages. Say for example, special disqualifications for the appointment of directors is stated in section 164 of 1 and 2, section 164 subsection 3, okay, which says that a private company may by its articles of association provide special disqualification for the appointment of directors, and the disqualification of directors are stated in different sections too. So who are the directors can be disqualified, who are the directors are eligible to be in the board, so everything is stated. This is also one of the advantages. Disqualifications is stated in sections. And restrictions on number of directorships. For example, no person can be a director more than 10 public companies. Here there is a rule that no person can be a director in more than 10 public companies, whereas he can become a director in maximum 20 private companies, provided none of these companies is a public company. If it is he is the director of, if it is a public company, he must not be the director of more than 10 companies. In 10 companies he can act as a director, whereas if the companies are private companies, up to 20 private companies he can channelize his directorship. He can be the director of 20 private companies to the maximum, okay, or subsidiaries of a public company. Here he can be a director of 20 private companies, but none of these 20 companies is either a public company or a subsidiary of public company or a holding company or pure public company, okay. This is according to section 165. And independent directors, for example, a private company is exempted from the requirement of appointment of independent directors. This is stated in section 149. So independent directors must be appointed by a public company, whereas for private company this is not mandatory. Or for example, if you go for the benefits, ESO scheme is there. On the basis of ESO scheme, to say, for issue of shares to its employees under employee stock option plan. ESO means employee stock option plan. A private company may pass an ordinary resolution as against a special resolution. Here, to issue shares under ESO scheme, employee stock option plan scheme, a special resolution is to be passed by a public company, whereas an ordinary resolution is enough for a private companies to go for ESO scheme. On the basis of purchase of own shares also, this is beneficial to establish a private company. Under section 67, if certain conditions are satisfied, a private company may purchase its own shares and finance purchase of its own shares. Here, for a public company, permission is not available to purchase its own shares. But for a private company, some norms are stipulated by law. If it is in a position to fulfill these norms, it can purchase its own shares, or even it finances purchasing its own shares. And on the basis of general body meeting, see, this is also one of the benefits, that according to the provisions of section 101 to 107 and section 109 is relating to general body meeting for a public company. But these sections shall not apply to a private company if articles of the company provides otherwise. And exemptions. As per Ministry of Corporate Affairs notification dated 5/6/2015, provisions of section 160, 162 and 180 shall not apply to private companies. So this exemption is also enjoyed by a private company. And loan to directors. Under section 185, if certain conditions are satisfied, a private company may give loan to its directors, whereas for a public company, such benefits are not there. Next one is not counted. With respect to the number of companies, maximum 20, which a person may be appointed as an auditor under section 141, private companies will not be included. Here, for an auditor, he can be appointed maximum by 20 companies, whereas for a private company, such norms are not there. And in this 20, here an auditor must be given with the maximum 20 companies, where all the 20 companies must be public companies and private company will not be included in that list. So hoping that you understood all these benefits, the stated benefits as well as the benefits I have explained apart from these 13 points. Moving on to the next topic, that is disadvantages of a private company. Here, so many restrictions are imposed on a private company by articles of association. Here, articles of association is purely relating to the matters of company and it imposes restrictions. These restrictions may be treated as the disadvantages of a private company as compared to the public company, because in every aspect the laid hands of a private company are cut or limited or being controlled by the eyes of law. By the hands of law. Every activity of a private company are curtailed, by the hands of law. So here, these restrictions are called the disadvantages to some extent. Of course, these are not the exact disadvantages. Even so many provisions are favoring the activities of a private company over public company, but to some extent these appear as disadvantages as a matter of listing out the disadvantages. First one is restrictions on members. This just appear as, before explaining these 3 points itself, I am making it very clear that these are not the real disadvantages. Even some restrictions as a matter of pointing out, we are listing these 3 points, we are mentioning these 3 points as disadvantages. So they appear to be the disadvantages. Restrictions on members. The maximum number of a private company is limited to 200 only. As such, it cannot enjoy a sound financial position which otherwise can be enjoyed by having more members. Here, members bring membership fees, right? So if for a private company, by law it is stipulated to appoint only 200 members. If it is more than 200, like a public company which enjoys with unlimited number of members, a private company would collect more membership fees. So when there is restriction on members, the total number of members, it is not possible to collect more fund. And restrictions on transferability of shares. The members of a private company cannot transfer their shares unless it is stated in articles of association. Shares between hands are not freely movable. So for that also we need to refer articles of association, and if articles of association permits for the free transfer of shares between hands, it is possible. Thus, if they are in immediate need of money, they cannot sell their shares, unlike in the case of public companies. Thus, if they are immediate need of money, means the people, if people are in real need of money, they cannot sell the shares. Okay. Whereas in the case of public company, they can easily sell the shares and make money out of it. If articles of association provides for free transfer, immediate realization and converting to money is possible. Next one, restrictions on issue of a prospectus. A private company cannot invite offer from general public for the purchase of its shares, so no question of issue of prospectus or statement in lieu of prospectus. Here, when a private company is not permitted to issue shares to general public, it itself limits it from issuing prospectus. When there is public issue, then only prospectus are to be issued. Here, these three appear to be the disadvantages. In addition to these above restrictions, disadvantages, a private company is subject to the following restrictions. There are so many restrictions for a private company. See, let me tell you the restrictions one by one. Okay, get it please. For example, first one, a private company cannot issue share warrants. A member of a private company cannot appoint more than one person as proxy to attend and vote a meeting of the company according to section 105. Proxy cannot be appointed. Okay. A private company, along with its annual list of members and summary of the registrar, must also send a certificate stating that since the date of the last return, it has not issued any invitation to the public to subscribe for its shares or debentures according to section 92.